All right, in an effort to break a little bit further away from Dragon Ball Z, I'm going to make a video where I'm talking about Star Wars. Um, Seems like a lot of people who are fans of one are fans of the other, so it should work out. But obviously, I'm a huge fan of both. Um, uh, and I wanted to talk about there's a lot of shit going on nowadays with the new Disney Star Wars series. Some people hate it, some people love it. Um, I've noticed that a lot of people who really like the originals and don't like the prequels, those people are the ones who normally really gravitate towards the new trilogy, Episode 7 and 8. Um, and the people who really do like the prequels are kind of annoyed with the new trilogy. For me, I definitely fall into the first category. I like the new trilogy, but that's not really what I'm here to talk about because there's a whole nother thing Disney's doing that is pretty controversial. I don't really like. And that problem is that they keep making these spin-off movies that nobody has asked for, and they come out in between the mainline movies, which is already weird and confusing enough. I really wish they would just hold off on these spin-offs and wait till after episode 9. I don't know why they're trying to rush Star Wars out so much. And honestly, it is kind of hurting the integrity a little bit. But for me, I could quickly you could basically pretend Rogue One isn't even canon. You can miss it and you're completely fine. And Solo might be the same way, but Solo actually features characters from the original, mainly Han Solo, Chewbacca, and Lando Calrissian. Here's the thing. I'm not a fan of Rogue One, and I hope that doesn't upset people. I think I'm going to just make the picture for this video a list of my favorite Star Wars movies ranked in order, so everyone knows like where I stand. But I'm not really a fan of Rogue One, honestly. Um, uh, and I think part of why I've definitely learned there's different kinds of Star Wars fans. Star Wars has a big fan base, and I think it's because the main series of Star Wars, even the prequels, has a lot of different spanning elements that a lot of different people like. So, for example, I really, really like characters, and some people might like the art and the war side and the mythos and stuff more. And I think a lot of people who like the Jedi mythos, they like the prequels. I think a lot of people who like the big war aspect, they like Rogue One. I like the characters, and the characters were really weak for me in Rogue One. And the characters, like my favorite of them is Empire, and I'll say a lot of people will say Empire's their favorite too. Empire has some amazing cinematography that I love to death, and that's definitely a part of why it's my favorite. But between and also, oh man, the locations like Cloud City is beautiful. That scene when they go to eat dinner and Darth Vader's in the room, these are great, fantastic scenes. They expanded on the lore of the Force, showed more things the Force can do. These are all again, fucking fabulous. All of this is good stuff. But the best part of that movie to me is the development of Han Solo and Leia's relationship, combined with Luke's journey on to becoming a real Jedi. Whereas Episode 4, we just knew he was starting that journey. In Episode 5, he was really we got to see his first steps into that journey of being a real Jedi. And that meant learning some life lessons with one of my favorite characters of all time, Yoda. And in the prequels, fuck Yoda in the prequels, okay? That version of Yoda is just a fucking annoying to me. The Jedi Council doesn't really seem that wise in the prequels, and they talk about that in Episode 8, and I love Episode 8 for doing that. Taking a flaw with the prequels and turning it into something really good, in my opinion. And this might be something that people like about the prequels, but to me, this is something really good that they did in 8 that helped the prequels shine a little bit better. And if we can make the prequels look better, then hell yeah. But something I really like about Yoda in Episode 5 is his words of advice and wisdom to Luke, where he just breaks down with the forces what it means why it's important. He talks about, you know, it's in all of life. It's not just in all humans or in all life forms, but it's the essence of life itself. It's in everything, you know. Being one with the force is being one with the nature and being one with all of your neighbors. You know, it's the ultimate. It's very similar to like a Buddhist like philosophy, I guess. And I know a lot of people make those comparisons, but it's definitely like this idea of Zen and togetherness and selflessness. And the Empire, the dark side, is the opposite, where it's like it's all about the selfishness. It's all about power, and that's why they become corrupted. You know, and it's the dangers of that. So a lot of people will say Star Wars is a little too black and white. Well, it's about opposites colliding with each other. It's about people who, you know, don't really want power and just want peace and love up against people, you know, who are conquerors. And so the peace and love people are fighting in self-defense, you know. And the conquerors are the ones. And I know, again, that's kind of childish. That's not exactly how real wars go about, except for maybe World War II, and that's why there's a lot of similarities between World War II and Star Wars. But the whole point is it's supposed to be like the ultimate good guys versus the ultimate bad guys, you know. And Star Wars is a little black and white, but it is important to have those black and white stories. You don't have to say it's your favorite because you like more complicated stories, but that it's all important here, okay? I probably will make a video defending episode 7, and I'll probably will make a video defending episode 8. But I want to go into why all of what I just said is extremely important for the next sentence I'm about to say, which is I don't think Solo, a Star Wars movie, will be better than the majority of the Star Wars films. I don't even think it'll be a great or good movie. But what I do think is it'll be fun and ultimately better than Rogue One, at least in what I'm looking for. So when I say it'll be better than Rogue One, I'm not saying that you will like it more than Rogue One, but I am saying I will like it more than Rogue One because I didn't really like Rogue One. And Rogue One put a really bad taste in my mouth where I was afraid I wouldn't like these Star Wars spin-offs. And with Solo, it's looking a lot better. Now, one problem is, of course, when I look at the actor for Han Solo, I don't see Han Solo, you know? And honestly, I don't see the point in making a movie about a character and then not having the original actor. Even if Harrison Ford's far too old to do a prequel. Obviously, we could never do a prequel story using Harrison Ford. But for God's sake, man, it would have been much better to just make a movie about Han Solo in between 6 and 7. And use the actual Harrison Ford. And if Harrison Ford doesn't want to do it, then don't fucking do it. You know what I mean? Don't fucking do it. If he doesn't want to do it, then don't fucking do it. If Mark Hamill wants to do it, then do it with Mark Hamill, you know? Make Luke Skywalker's story. But there's no point in doing a movie without the original actors. Because those actors are the characters. And that's why reboots and remakes usually suck dick. Because you gotta have the actual actors. And that's what makes episode 7 and 8 so strong. Is that it's actually Luke back. You know? It's even C-3PO's back. Everyone's back. Chewbacca came back mostly for the voices. He did some scenes in the suit. But for the most part, it's a different guy. And that's because the original Chewbacca has horrible legs and he can barely walk. So, I mean, this is all... And I mean, that's one of the great tragedies is that Carrie Fisher passed away after Rogue One came out. And so she wasn't alive to see the reception of episode 8. And hopefully we've already have some... I don't think they've done any shooting for 9, so I don't think she'll even be in 9 at all. And I'm not sure how they're going to write her not a part of the story. You know? But, you can't do a movie without the actual actors. But I will say, I might have to pretend it's not really Han Solo and it's someone else. But I will still try to appreciate it. I'll try to overlook that because it is a limitation that will never be the only way to fix that is to literally make an entirely CGI movie, in my opinion. Because otherwise, you have what they did with Tarkin and Rogue One, and that's a big reason why I really dislike Rogue One, is that they used Tarkin's face. They used Peter Cushing's face. Now, Peter Cushing is a movie fucking legend. Not everyone knows that. People who have only seen Star Wars and haven't seen movies before Star Wars, Peter Cushing was an actor for a very, very long time. And he was a great actor, and he, of course, he did a lot of older movies, but, seeing his face on the big screen again in 2016, I think the movie came out. Yes. Seeing his face on screen again and knowing that he's dead and did not consent to this. It doesn't matter if the families consent to it. That's the worst excuse. There is no excuse, What they should have done is kept his face completely hidden by shadows and put him in only one fucking scene. They put Tarkin in too much of that fucking movie. All they needed was his face in shadows for one scene, and then maybe after that have his voice over an intercom or something, if you really need to include him. But it really made the villain of Rogue One seem pathetic and pointless anyway. I know, so there really wasn't much of a rivalry between the main character and the main villain. So it was really more about, and there could have been one. They kind of set one up, but there was a lot of bad elements with Rogue One, like the character Saw, who was the character who took care of Iden Erso. Was her name Iden? Her name was Erso. Her last name's Erso. He took care of Erso, and then he abandoned her, but we didn't see any of that on screen. So it was just like this random this random shit they were just talking about that has no importance to the plot of the movie or anything. And then that character just sort of dies. They're setting this up. It would have been really cool to see them actually, if he would have lived, they could have, fought together and talked together. Their relationship could have developed. We could have learned more about them that way. And it could have been really cool to see those things develop. But there was really no character development for any of the characters. They were very, very one-dimensional. And that's why I really dislike Rogue One. I also don't really care about the fight scenes. Even you could say, they're cool. The space scene is awesome. I'll give you guys that. And obviously the Darth Vader scene is fucking brilliant. Those scenes are great and fantastic. But any of the fights, whenever we watched the character die, I didn't care about them. The guy saying, "I'm one with the Force is with me," when he died, I didn't care about him. When Urso died, I didn't care about him. When the male guy died, I didn't care about him. I don't care about any of the characters dying. Even the robot, I didn't really care if he died. It didn't matter to me, okay? And that's because the movie tried to say, "Don't you care?" And I answered back, "No, I don't. You didn't establish reasons for me to care." I wasn't really sad when the father died either. I knew characters would die walking into this, and when they died, I was like, okay, well, I didn't care. And so when it comes to, and I know there's a lot of fans who really like Rogue One, and it's the kind of movie they've all been wanting. I hate how much it panders to, I hate how much Star Wars fan service there is. It's very inappropriate. I know Episode 7 had fan service, but the fan service was actually there to move the plot forward. Yes, this is Episode 7. It's not its own universe. This is the main universe. Just like how Episode 3 uses characters and themes and planets and everything, the lore from the original trilogy. The prequels use that shit because it's all connected. It goes before it. This is what comes after it. So seeing the Millennium Falcon, seeing C-3PO, seeing Han Solo and Chewbacca, these things are not references and cameos, and fan service. These things are this is the actual movie. Okay, this is actually the sequel. It's not saying, "Hey, remember this?" As much as South Park says that joke. "Hey, remember this?" This is the actual sequel to the story. Those things have to be in the fucking movie. Why do we need the guy from the bar scene in Rogue One? We don't. We don't need that shit. Why do we need R2-D2 and C-3PO to show up for 5 minutes? We don't need that shit. Get that? It has nothing to do with anything else involving Star Wars. So here's if Solo has convincing character development, has good character relationships, which it should, because Han Solo and Lando are going to be hanging out a lot of it. It looks like they're going to be somewhat of a tight-knit family. There's a girl character, and it's being played by Daenerys Targaryen. I should probably look up her real name real quick. But obviously, she's someone who we all love. Everyone loves her from Game of Thrones. And I mean, I love her from Game of Thrones. She's a fucking amazing actress. What is her actual name? I love how when I type her in, like, no one can, they just can't, like, straight up say, like, who plays her. TV adaptation, casting development. Come on, guys. I'm trying to record a video. I don't want to pause. All right, Emilia Clarke. That's her name. She's fantastic. Obviously, when she first started in Game of Thrones, you could tell it was one of her first shows. But now I feel like she's been through the ringer. She definitely steals the show when she's on screen. I'm probably going to be rooting for her along with fucking Donald Glover himself. Hell yeah. He's probably going to steal the show a lot too. And I'm hoping that the actor they got for Harrison Ford, well, Han Solo, I'm hoping he can have enough charisma and screen presence to hold his own. But I can get over these issues. All I really want is to look at the mistakes from Rogue One and not make those mistakes. And I know a lot of people like that movie. I'm not saying it's a bad movie, but I'm saying there's flaws with it. I don't want them to repeat. The major flaw that they need to not repeat is needless cameos and references. Now, again, Han Solo, Chewbacca, those characters need to be in this fucking movie, okay? Lando doesn't have to be in this movie, but I'm glad he is. I think that's interesting because Han Solo and Lando have a past together. So you could involve him. It's not necessary. It's completely unnecessary. But it would be nice, and I'm glad they're doing it. And then, of course, the Falcon has to have the Falcon. Han Solo has a famous blaster. It doesn't need to be the famous blaster, but I'm glad he has it, because that's like Han Solo's thing, and it helps the Star Wars canon. And everything else doesn't need to be there. Like, I don't want to see any reference to Luke or Obi-Wan. I really don't want to see C-3PO appear out of nowhere. The Empire and Stormtroopers, of course that has to be there. This is a Star Wars world. But these things need to make sense within the timeline. And Han Solo's not supposed to know the fucking characters, Honestly, I would just love it if Tatooine was not in the movie at all. I'm hoping it's not in the movie at all. There's a lot of shit like that they just need to be aware of and not make those mistakes. The second thing, I'm very, very positive they can manage to avoid this, and that is to actually have some real gripping character development and not just have nothing but action and chase scenes and stuff like that. I'm really hoping they can pull this off. When I see the actors together, they always are grouped up together like a family, and it looks like there's going to be some amazing synergy. Rogue One wasn't really that comical. I know some people laugh at the guy who wanted to be a Jedi who wasn't a Jedi. To me, I didn't laugh during any of those scenes. I just kind of was like, oh, I kind of like him. I just thought he was charming. I didn't think it was funny. Like, I just was like, oh, well, he doesn't know what he's talking about, but, of course he doesn't know what he's talking about. The Jedi are dead. Maybe he would be a Jedi if the Jedi could train him. But, or maybe he's trying to be a Jedi now and he just can't figure it out. But, yeah, I really hope that, they can establish real character development, and I think the reason why it will be funny is because they have actors like Emilia Clarke and Donald Glover. Of course, Woody Harrelson's in the movie as well. He's a great funny actor who can also do serious acting. And this movie might call, and it looks like he's going to be a mentor style character. Maybe not to Han, but maybe he'll be the leader of the ragtag crew. Maybe we'll see Han take up the mantle of being like the crew leader later on. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to predict this movie. I'm just kind of walking into it because I'm just not that excited for it. But as the trailer came out, I kind of was like, maybe this movie can be good. But to me, it'll be good because it's what Rogue One wasn't. It's not because I love Han Solo. Han Solo is one of my favorite characters from the original trilogy. He's one of my favorite characters from the entirety of Star Wars, which is why Episode 7 was so. It was like, it was just, I loved Episode 7. Because we got more of Harrison Ford being Han Solo, and it worked. It didn't feel like it was forced. It didn't feel like, the performance he did in Episode 7 was far better than the performance he did in Episode 6, I'll say, for example. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you should go back and watch Episode 6 and then 7. 7, Han Solo was acting the way we think of Han Solo in our minds. And Harrison Ford nailed it in that movie. Just like how Mark Hamill fucking nailed it in Episode 8. So if you're a big Han Solo fan, 7 will probably be your favorite movie. If you're a big Luke Skywalker fan, I would hope that you would enjoy 8 a lot, because Mark Hamill just kills it in that movie. And whereas people don't like storylines and plot all they want, you have to recognize great acting and then applaud it. If you don't applaud great acting and say the movie's still bad, then that's I feel like you're just negatively affecting the actors and trying to give them a message that they need to change something when really they're doing the best they can, and it's working. So Mark Hamill, a lot of people are saying he did a great job, and hopefully he knows this, but god damn it, Mark Hamill fucking nailed it in Episode 8. Fantastic. And Harrison Ford nailed it in Episode 7. And so all I'm saying here is I want good acting with good writing for the characters. I don't want too many cheesy one-liners. A lot of people complain about in Episode 8, Poe opened up with a really cheesy one-liner. To me, there was a lot of humor in Episode 8, and not all of it stuck well. Not all of it was really that good. To me, the worst joke in the entire movie was the first joke, with Poe basically doing a your mama joke in space with Hux. And it doesn't bother me because Poe was making jokes towards Kylo Ren in Episode 7. Poe's a jokester. He's kind of a Joker character. I don't mind that for Poe. That's part of his character style. So I can let it go when Poe's doing it, as long as it's Poe. Finn, his sense of humor kind of stayed the same from Episode 7 as well. He made kind of the same kind of jokes where he was like, pretend to be something he's not, where he knows internally he's lying to someone, but he's like, oh yes, I am the best, I am good, I am a good person. And, he knows this, and that kind of ironic humor, it works well with John Boyega, and so I love Finn in both movies, and I just kind of hope that we can have a lot of sarcasm from Han Solo, and a lot of sarcasm from Donald Glover, because those characters, the comedy in the original Star Wars is very different from the comedy now. There was a lot of comedy in the original Star Wars. It's a very lighthearted movie given the serious tension that happens in those movies. And that's a sign of the times. Back then in the late 70s and the mid 80s, humor was a lot different from how it is now. And so they have to translate all the humor well. And I believe they really did that with showing a lot of the old style humor with the original trilogy characters that appeared in the new trilogy. And then the new characters had a lot of new style humor, like with Poe, Finn, and Rey. Their humor is all kind of unique to themselves as well. Rey kind of being like a lovable goofball character who doesn't exactly know her way about things. And that's what makes her very endearing and charming. And again, she kind of keeps her sense of humor throughout both movies. So I really hope that these people who are making this movie are looking at that, and they're really researching the original trilogy as well. Which, I hope so. I hope Han just acts like Han. I hope there's real character development. I hope there's a lesson and a moral to be learned, and it's not just like there is a moral and a message in Rogue One. But it's not that. It's a message that's kind of like obvious and not that compelling to me, at least not that interesting to me. And I've seen plenty of war movies before, and movies about people giving their all. And when you watch, I think the movie's called Dunkart. It's a Christopher Nolan film that came out, I want to say last year. It's about World War One, I believe, and it's about the British. Maybe it might have been two. I honestly, I haven't seen that movie in a while, but basically, it's about British civilians doing their duty to, despite being in the face of the middle of the war and saving lives, you know, and it's a really beautiful moment in the movie when they finally pull through. It shows you straight up war is hell, and then it shows these people doing this really beautiful moment, and that to me is a very good, compelling story of bravery and sacrifice. And Rogue One is just kind of like generic, like, oh well, they died because they're soldiers. They died, and their death was a huge contribution. You can actually get that same message across without showing people die, because you just have to build up the tension and danger really heavily. And Star Wars, they have tension with explosions, so. But I still believe you could do it better with Rogue One, where you could give a real threat where people could seemingly die or survive. But in Rogue One, everyone dies, and it would have been better if the characters mattered a lot more. That's all I'm saying. This movie, it looks like, because the cast is so damn good, there's definitely for a fact going to be humor mixed with action. This is something similar to like Guardians of the Galaxy. Chris Pratt was the star. It mixes comedy with action. It has a lot of great actors behind it, and it's a ragtag team of misfits. It could be good, and that's the big thing. Like, this could be a good movie, but it might not be good in the sense of the grand scheme of Star Wars. But it might be a fun movie standalone. And the biggest hurdle it has is that people are going to have to try to kind of pretend they're going to have to fall in love with this new Han Solo who looks and sounds not like the original. And that's what's going to be, that's the biggest hurdle, you know? But I'm trying to keep an open mind and walk into it. And I do have some faith. And I want to say it's because nobody wants this movie to happen. I want to make this video because nobody wants this movie at all. Some people did like Rogue One, but nobody wants to see a Han Solo prequel, or at least if they do, they don't want it like this. And I'm afraid it's going to be too generic, too formulaic. What I like about the Marvel movies is that every time they still force down the same Marvel movie formula, but they all stray away with one special thing that makes it unique. And I think they did that with Doctor Strange and Spider-Man Homecoming very, very well. And I think they kind of failed and fumbled a little bit with Thor Ragnarok and Black Panther. While I still really like both those movies, I feel like Spider-Man Homecoming and Doctor Strange handled it a lot better. And I'm hoping that they don't fall into the same problem as Marvel. When they keep making these movies, I hope they don't fall in that same problem. Because I believe that Marvel is at the point where they're going to need to change. They're going to need to... And I believe after Avengers 3, things are going to start changing. So, and boy, that movie's coming out soon. I can't wait. But I think after Avengers 3, they will change things up a bit. So, and that's what they're going to need, because these movies are starting to become a little stale. And that's, I think, because I've seen so many Marvel movies, even though Thor Ragnarok was a pretty good movie, and Black Panther was a fucking great movie. The problem is that Marvel movie formula that keeps coming back up, it taints my feelings on all these movies and makes me dislike them, you know? My least favorite part of any superhero movie is the big fucking action battle at the end. I hate every time. When it comes to Marvel movies, I usually love the first, hour and 30 minutes, and then, or the hour. I usually love the first hour, then the last 30 minutes or hour or so, I just dislike it, you know? And it's not that I hate it when I leave the theater, but it's just like, I've seen this a million times before. There's no tension. I don't care. The hero's gonna win. I don't care. So I just wish that, and of course the hero has to beat the villain because that would make the kids happy. And I'm not saying the kids need to be sad, but what I am saying is they need to find better and interesting ways of having conflicting ideas clash with each other. You know, I think Star Wars, the main line, is already great at being a story about true evil getting where the enemies get their comeuppance. And I think the side stories, if you're gonna make them, do something different. And that's what Rogue One did, at least. It made a story where the heroes all died. It was daring. It set the bar for the side stories that they don't have to necessarily be the same Star Wars formula. In fact, Rogue One was a movie set in the Star Wars universe that had nothing to do with the Star Wars formula. Everything I love about the Star Wars formula was gone. So what I'm hoping is Han Solo can be a movie that still has the character, charm, and charisma of the Star Wars movies. It still has the good versus evil morality and stuff like that. But if they want to blur the lines a little bit and have some fun and, kind of like not necessarily be anti-heroes, but be goofy, a ragtag goofy team, sort of like the Guardians of the Galaxy, where they don't have to be like super morally correct, but I just want them to not be evil, basically, and I want them to they can do something that totally benefits themselves and be selfish. I think that's actually perfect for Han Solo because he's supposed to learn to stop being so selfish during the original trilogy. He learns those lessons. And if he is an ultimate good guy from the very beginning, then there's going to be no point in that. It's seriously going to hurt the original trilogy. And if a movie hurts the original trilogy, this is how I deal with it. I pretend it doesn't exist. That's why I don't really care about Rogue One, because it hurts the original trilogy too much, in my opinion, that I just don't care about it. Because that way, the original trilogy is still great. So when I think of what do I know about Darth Vader? I don't think about Rogue One. And when I think about Yoda, I go, what do I know about Yoda? Everything I take about Yoda, I take from the original trilogy in Episode 8 and some of the Clone Wars. And I don't really think about the Yoda from the prequels or anything like that. Those events happened. But in my mind, this is the story being told by Obi-Wan or something. Like, this is a story that Luke read in a book. So, it's not necessarily what 100% happened in my brain. I would rather pretend it's something different. Because I just don't care about those... I just don't care about that version of Yoda. I don't care about that version of Anakin. I like the Obi-Wan in it. I like Qui-Gon. I like Mace Windu. Those were all great. The villains are fine. Everyone likes Grievous. I think Darth Maul could have been better. Dooku's great. Sidious is great. Of course, Sidious has some funny, cringy lines, but, But all in all, I think Kylo Ren is a stronger villain from anyone from the prequels, including Anakin Skywalker. Not saying he's better than Darth Vader, but I am saying he's better than prequel Anakin. And I do think that Rey is a lot stronger than a lot of the characters from the prequels as well. Am I saying she's better than Obi-Wan? No, but her and Obi-Wan are very different characters. They serve completely different purposes. I would say Obi-Wan in the prequels is closest to from the new trilogy. Fuck. Oh man, I don't even know. Maybe Poe? Yeah. But even Poe, I don't even think so. No, not really. Like, Obi-Wan in the original prequels, Obi-Wan in the prequels is great because he's like his own unique character within the Star Wars universe, where he's completely his own thing. He's smart, witty. He has clever lines. He does fun things. He does badass things. He's a cool dude. And when I think of him, I can easily start thinking of Old Man Obi-Wan, and I can see how they're the same character. I can't do that for Anakin and Darth Vader. And so I don't want to think of Han being that way. When I see this Han, I want to be able to look at this Han and see Han in the original trilogy and say, yes, they're the same guy. That's hard to do. Ewan McGregor is the only actor who I can say, Ewan McGregor and Alan McInnes, I think. Sir Alan McInnes, I think, is the original Obi-Wan. They're the only two characters who I think are really... They're different actors, but I think I can see them as the same person. And I really just want to be able to say that with these new movies. And with Donald Glover and as playing as Lando, I can see the differences in their faces. Lando isn't like that much older later on. Honestly, in these movies, Han Solo's kind of young in the Star Wars movies already. So, like, I never thought of him as like a 30 or 40-year-old man. So, this Han Solo better be like 21. because that Han Solo I see is like 26 or 27. Like I really, it's like a 5 year gap. I believe it. If it's any more than that, it's going to become unbelievable and unrealistic. I also understand they're going to do more backstory with Chewbacca. I'm totally fine with that. I'm totally fine with Han Solo and Chewbacca being fresh friends or just meeting for the first time. That won't bother me. I would actually love to see that because the younger the Han Solo, the better in my opinion. Because otherwise, I don't need to see a story about Han Solo doing what Han Solo does because I already know what he does. It would make the whole movie a complete waste. So as much as I don't even like prequels, just to see a different style of Han Solo or rookie Han Solo, I'm totally fine with that. But at that point, he might not. He might as well not even be the main character. He at that point, they might as well just be like characters that are along with the journey. And I would make someone like either Lando or whoever Emilia Clarke plays to be the main character. Though it would be weird because the last new three Star Wars movies have all had female leads. Granted, Episode 7 and 8 are about the same girl, so of course they're gonna have the same female main character. But it was weird to me to have a female main character in Rogue One because it's like, are we just only doing female main characters now? And then of course there was a female main character in Star Wars Battlefront 2, and I'm not saying this is SJW propaganda because I disagree with that 100%. But what I am saying is it's like, okay guys, let's eventually like we get it, like eventually do a male character again because like it's becoming unbelievable when you have that many characters. Um, I will talk more about my thoughts on all the female characters and if I make a video about episode 8. If you want to know what I think about the new all three female characters from episode 8, I'll say it right now. I adore Rey. Daisy Ridley is a fantastic actress. I think she improved a lot over 7 and 8. But I think that her role in 7 didn't need her to be that. Like, I think she did a good job in 7 for what she was given. And I think that she really proved herself in 8 to be a really good actress. The acting was really spot on in 8. And I adore her as an actual person. I like what she says about acting. I like how she's not super buying into like this female power stuff going on right now with all the fans who love that stuff. She's just kind of neutral on it. She doesn't really care either way. It just doesn't bother her, and that's the way it should be to me. Because, like I said, none of these female characters bother me at all. It's just that I just kind of get annoyed when people just keep talking about it and acting like that makes something good. That's not what makes it good. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm happy that little girls have something to look to and want to be inspired by. But to me, I still look at the movie like a movie, and if these characters are written badly, I'm not gonna like it. But if the characters are written well, then it's great. So so I'm glad that they chose to use a female lead character, and they writ her well, and she's strong, and I like the character, so that's good. As far as General Holdo and the other chick that I don't remember her name, Rose, that's her name, Holdo and Rose. As far as they go, Holdo, I can't say I hate the character, but the writing involved with her character is not very good. I think when she sacrifices herself, it's very courageous and redeeming for her. But if the movie's trying to make me on her side over Poe's side in the argument, it failed. But I definitely really identify with Poe there. Even when he was wrong, I was like, okay, well, like you could have told me, you know. Everyone makes that joke, but so I think Holdo isn't really a bad person. And the actress for her is great. I think Holdo could have been a better executed character. I think her execution was just bad. That's all I think. So do I hate her? Well, she kind of represents bad writing in episode 8, so I just like that about her. As far as Rose, I kind of am in a love-hate relationship with her because, again, a lot of the scenes surrounding Rose are my least favorite scenes of the movie. So to me, when I see Rose, I mainly think about the scenes I don't like about episode 8. You know, when I think about Rey, Kylo Ren, Luke Skywalker, Snoke, you know, even Hux. When I think about those characters, I think about all the scenes I really enjoyed about the movie, you know? Those are by far the scenes that make episode 8 great. You know, Mark Hamill is one of the best parts of episode 8. Rey and Kylo Ren are fucking awesome in episode 8. I love them. I think a lot of people didn't really like Kylo Ren that much in 7. I wasn't like a super big fan, but I was interested in seeing what they would do. I think 8 delivered on Kylo Ren and what he's supposed to become, and I'm really digging it now. I'm really into this Kylo Ren business now. So I can't wait to see Kylo Ren in 9, and 8 was a big part of why I like him now. But when I think about Rose, I just think of like the boring filler shit. So to me, Rose is like a filler character. And they wrote her as a character who's not a big time hero. And by the end of the battle, she didn't do anything courageous, you know? Well, she did a lot of things that were courageous, but she didn't do anything that were commendable in the sense of she's shown her skill and deserves a reward. You know, we were only following that story because Finn and because Finn was there, you know. But I feel like that whole story could have just been a comic and it should have just not even been in the movie. Like they could have just written that as a comic and said this was going on during episode 8. But you know, but of course then we wouldn't have Finn during the movie. We need Finn. So I wish they would have just given them something better to do, or they made episode 8 based a little bit later after, so it was a little bit of a time skip, and then they could have put that stuff in like during a chase scene or whatever, and then just have Rey like not meeting Luke yet, and said that the scene in the beginning of episode 7 isn't where episode 7 ends right there. Instead, there's actually is some time that passes in between 7 and 8, and the very end of 7 is part of that time skip, you know? I think that would have been worked. I don't know why they decided to make 8 pick up right where 7 left off. They could have literally made some time pass between when she meets Luke and not. I think that would have been completely reasonable and believable. I don't understand. I mean, her clothes changed, so it's like I don't understand why we couldn't do that. But at least with I don't know. So when I think of Rose, I don't think of a character that I like that much, and it's not because she's a forced SJW whatever. I don't fucking care about that. But it is because she didn't have much time to shine. They really didn't do much with her, and at the end of the day, she's probably not going to get a huge rank up in the army because she didn't do anything that amazing. You know, with Luke, that was like his first mission with the rebels, and he proved himself greatly. You know, he saved the princess and destroyed the Death Star, so he proved himself as a soldier immensely. You know, he proved himself as a pilot and as a tactical hero. You know, and then when you have Han, you know, Han really aided Luke in that fight as well, and also he's someone who helped save the princess. So again, it's like these characters deserve high ranks in the Rebel Alliance. But what did Rose do? Finn deserves it. Of course he deserves it. For the same reason Luke did. Yes, it was his first mission with the Resistance, but he helped out tremendously and greatly. He is the one who deactivated the shields for Starkiller Base. You know? This is a huge win for the Resistance, and he's a part of it. And then they kind of deflate that victory a little bit by having the First Order destroy the Resistance that quickly, and it sucks, you know. And I think Episode 9 will be the true sequel to 7 that I really want. But again, I don't think Episode 8 was bad. It's just that there's a lot of bad writing, and it involved the 2 new characters. So we don't have to deal with Holdo anymore. She's gone. But we do have to deal with Rose, and I hope that Rose has a position that makes sense and she can prove herself. Or maybe she'll still be a low-ranking soldier, but she'll still hang out with Finn, and that will involve her in greater danger because she wants to be around Finn. That I'm totally fine with. Though, I gotta say, if Rose is supposed to be the new female love interest for Finn, I didn't fucking see that, you know? I saw Rose and Finn as, like, just friends. When they kissed, it was awkward, because later on, Finn ran up and just hugged the shit out of Rey. And I understand that Finn and Rey have a platonic friendship, but to me, it seems like Finn really, really adores Rey. A lot. And it seemed like that in 7, it seems like that in 8, and I kind of hope they fall in love in 9. I know. Everyone doesn't want this. Everyone wants Finn to be gay with Poe, and everyone wants Rey to be fucking Kylo Ren of all fucking people. Why? I'm hoping I at least 8 gave you guys a sample of that sample of that love romance bullshit with between those two characters, and they've also destroyed all the chance of that. So I'm hoping that we can move past that and have Rey either have no love interest or just be with Finn. That's what I would personally like. But if Finn falls in love with Rey and then she rejects him, and then he kind of looks at Rose like, "At least you're always here for me," I would like that. That's fine too. But no Rey and Kylo Ren business. But anyway, I'm kind of rambling. This video is supposed to be about Solo, a Star Wars movie or Star Wars story or whatever. It's about the Han Solo movie. If you guys liked it, I will do more Star Wars. If you don't like it, well, I'm still doing more Star Wars videos. I love Star Wars. I'm going to talk about it. But I do want to make videos talking about 7 and 8, and they might not come out soon, but I will try. I will try to make them because I really like those movies. And then I might do a video where I discuss the prequels, and I might do a video where, well, that's probably about it. I don't need to talk about the original trilogy. You guys just need to go fucking watch it if you haven't. But yep, I am not excited for Solo, but I believe it has potential to be good. I don't think it has potential to be great or even my top favorites, but as long as I like it more than Rogue One, it's a success in my book, and that's easy for me because I don't like Rogue One that much. So we'll have to see when it comes out, guys. But yeah, let's check it out.